Yeah.
Hey everyone, sorry for the commotion outside. It's really the only time I could film this. But hey, today I'm going to be talking about the latest film in the DCEU, Blue Beetle, directed by Ángel Manuel Soto, starring Zolo Mardueña, Adriana Barraza, Damien Alcazar, Alipedia Carrillo, Bruno Marquezine, Raúl Max Trujillo, Susan Sarandon, and Georgia Lopez. And this is obviously the first adaptation of this character on the big screen, and I think it's really a great moment, of course, for Hispanic people in the comic book genre, because, we haven't seen this before. Obviously we've been getting better representation throughout the years with films like Black Panther, so on and so forth. But this is really a big step, and I'm really kind of disappointed that it's going to be undermined by the fact that this universe is basically going to get scrapped under James Gunn. And even so, I mean, there's a lot you can say about this movie, because I'll be honest, it's unfortunate that the films have gotten to be this good at this point in time, because I mean, these films keep getting better and better, and even though this is one of the last ones, I think this is a very, very good start to what could have been a great franchise. And I almost hope that they somehow continue with this cast and crew going forward, because it would really be a shame to get rid of all this that they set up, because I really do think this is a great starting off point for this character in this universe. And of course, I mean, there's a lot of things to praise. Of course, Zolo Mardueña as Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle himself, is really, really quite a good character. Some people have argued he's the least interesting in the movie. He's sort of a blank slate and whatnot. But I don't know, I really find this guy to be quite relatable. And he's trying to do right by his family. Of course, the contention he has and the conflict with having this costume in him, and the fact that he just doesn't want anything to do with it. It's a very interesting take on the superhero genre in that sense, because he's not trying to embrace what he's become, but instead trying to push against it. And I think that was a really, really cool angle to approach him and this character and this movie, because I gotta say, the best part about this movie is the culture and the characters within. This really does, maybe surprisingly, maybe unsurprisingly, dive into a lot of issues like immigration, like gentrification, and I was really pleasantly surprised that the movie actually touched on these issues, because I think in that sense it kind of roots you in this realism and makes you root for the underdogs in the story, which is the Reyes family, which, my goodness, I mean, say what you will about the rest of this movie, but that part, that family dynamic, is what really makes this movie work. And I think everybody in the cast is just absolutely great in their roles of this very loving, kind of wacky and supportive family. I think Belissa Escobedo is quite good as Jaime's sister in this. And though I will say she's a bit annoying at first, but I think as you go along she becomes a lot more endearing. And you could say that about like how endearing all of these cast members are, especially George Lopez as his Uncle Rudy, who I think steals the movie. I feel like he's improvising for half of it, but like it actually works and it feels natural to the story, which is kind of interesting considering how often Marvel misses with the humor in that department. But I think George Lopez really delivers and gives one of the finest performances in this movie. I really just think he's absolutely phenomenal as this kind of like a man-child uncle of the family. And I think Damien Alcazar as Alberto Reyes is really kind of like the heart and soul of this movie. And he has some really, really intimate moments with Mardueña, as well as Lopez in a couple scenes. But I think he is really the emotional core of this entire family, and what they're going through together and separately. I mean, really, it's the family dynamic and the culture that really propel this movie forward and what they're talking about. I mean, for a DC film, this is kind of bold, and I'm really, really glad they dived into it. Everyone else is great too in that sense. I mean, look, it feels like a Phase 1 Marvel movie, and I will say this film has probably more heart than most of the Phase 1 Marvel movies. Like, I was legitimately tearing up at certain scenes. Like, I was very affected by certain scenes in this movie, and it is because the family dynamics is so strong. But, like, you've seen this movie like 100 times at this point, and I feel like, you know, my friend was saying this would have done so well like 10 years ago, and I think that's absolutely correct. Back when that formula was more fresh, back when we didn't see all these same beats. I mean, it's pulling from Iron Man, it's pulling from Spider-Man, it's pulling from Venom, it's pulling from all these things, and besides like a few moments I think are visually really interesting, like the transformation itself that you see in the trailer, which is almost played for laughs but almost played for horror as well. I thought it was very effective. Like, I did feel a bit on edge watching that scene because it was so horrific to see it take place. But regardless, I mean, there's so much you can predict. You can see exactly where the story is going. You know, there's so many moments that just feel like, oh, well, we're going to have these characters as this because it's convenient to the plot, and it's just like, come on, you can write something better than that. The third act is a bunch of CGI explosions, and Susan Sarandon is such a weak villain. I feel like, not that she's horrible, like, she doesn't give a horrible performance, but I feel like she just showed up for the paycheck, and then we're like, okay, I'm out. You know, it really doesn't feel like anything substantial, like, and that we haven't seen before. And I think this movie misses in quite a few areas. Like, it feels like such a big step forward culturally speaking, but at the same time it feels like a bit of a degradation, you know, genre-wise. And so obviously if you have a problem with superhero fatigue, this is not going to turn you on to superhero movies in a sense. I mean, far from it. But I think for what it really is such a fun movie to watch. I mean, it's consistently funny throughout the entire thing. You love the characters, even though some are a bit thin, you know. But I still think that it's the story of this plight of this immigrant family that I think really draws you in to the story of the Blue Beetle. And I also think they could have dived into that dynamic between him and the symbiotic relationship, or the symbiotic relationship he has with the Scarab. I think that would have been interesting, but I don't know. As it stands, it's like, you know, the visual effects are better than The Flash. You know, not that that's a high bar. I mean, there's a couple shots that look kind of wonky, but it's not really too distracting, I don't think. It's certainly much better than what we've seen from DC in the past, especially that shitstorm Suicide Squad. But regardless, I really do enjoy this movie a lot. I just think it could have been that much better had they had focused on a story that was a bit more original, less derivative. But that's the thing, as I said, it's such a good baseline to start a series. I think they can push this even further over the edge because I think the ingredients are there. I just think they need to expand upon them in new ways. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding out hope for a sequel, obviously, with the retooling of the DC universe. But for what it is, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie, and yeah, guys, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. If you have the time, go see it. I mean, why not? If you like comic book movies, then just keep trucking along with it and trying to check it out for yourself and see what you think. But yeah, guys, that's it for my review on Blue Beetle, so please let me know in the comments down below what you think about it, and smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate the support on these videos, and I'm going to be bringing you some more movie reviews very soon. So take it easy, guys, and I'll talk to you later.